Legends, how's everybody doing? Let's analyze the situation here for the price of Bitcoin, because we did get a significant drop. However, we did get a significant rally in the last few hours. Right now, we are hitting a resistance area. We're getting a bit of choppiness, but it does look like we want to break through. We'll be analyzing the situation here for the price of Bitcoin. Make sure to destroy that like button, guys. If you do enjoy the content, I'll go quickly through the comment section and say hello to the beautiful community. I can see somebody here. Let's go. Somebody saying, Andy, I'm so pissed. I missed the trendline breakout yesterday and then the ultimate short and the long today. I'm depressed. It hasn't been easy, quite volatile, big move down, a big move to the upside. Now the question is this move to the upside sustainable? Are we going to go to higher levels, right? This is what we are going to be discussing. We are hitting a bit of resistance, but it looks like it wants to break out here with the New York Open, okay? Because it's just been quite bullish throughout today. We got the drop yesterday, and now we're just grinding here to the upside. It doesn't want to stop. We did have all of this Elon Musk and Donald Trump situation, okay, and lots of people saying, markets are going to dump. It's very, very trappy dump right now that has happened throughout all of this. It didn't really affect much of the market. Stock market is bullish, looking to move here to higher levels. And of course, this is going to help Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is really right now revisiting that point of control of this entire range that we've had in the last few weeks. And it wants to attempt to break above it, right? So very V-shapey recovery, okay? Very V-shapey. Just, no major consolidations. Somebody like really pissed off because they didn't short, you didn't long. It doesn't matter, right? Whoever shorted needed to take profit. If they didn't take profit, eventually they're expecting lower levels, because this is what a lot of people are looking at, right? Or have been looking at throughout the last few days. Head and shoulder pattern, right? Revisit the neckline. And this is a very, very trappy situation. And I want to explain how all of this movement, we were considering all of this corrective, and that a breakdown is unlikely to go to sub $100,000. We did almost hit $100,000. But throughout yesterday's live stream, we were understanding that this looks very corrective. This was unlikely going to be a 3-wave, a 5-wave impulsive move to the downside. Any volatile move to the downside here likely going to get bought back up. This is, the topic of yesterday. Of course, we did get a major move to the downside here of a few $1,000s, right? And we actually swing failure patterned, okay? This would have been your most epic long position, right? Remember that the lows of a major range become very important, okay? Your lows right over here of a range become very, very important levels, right? You would argue, of course, it's an order block on the weekly, right? Or on the monthly, right? These are big, big, massive levels. When you come to revisit the lows, right, from that range, and where you have the last line of support, when you take a look at the volume profile, it either gets an epic bounce or it crashes even more, okay? And of course, you need to have a guideline, right? We do know that there's empty volume, right? This is literally the value area low of this entire zone. And of course, you got that movement down and you're sweeping up the lows for the liquidity. Hey, the long trade, if you're trying to catch a falling knife, is either a swing failure pattern from one of these lows, right? And of course, as you cross those lows, well, your ultimate level here is really this low here, okay? Sweeping up the lows of this large consolidation. Anybody that is brave, all right, and really wants to catch that falling knife, this is not an easy environment to get into some trading opportunities. Big volatile move up, down, and then a big V shape, right? No consolidations, no major, zones where you can predict, right, if the price is going to move to the upside or break down, okay? It's just not an easy trading zone. I really try and stay away, in the middle of this volatility. Now, we were hitting some resistance zones at the moment, but we are breaking through. So it's like, yeah, all of this, from yesterday's video update. And let me go right away here through the comment section in just a second, guys. But yesterday we were pointing out that the probabilities of continuation to the downside, guys, anybody that didn't check out yesterday's stream, I'm sure most of you were here, that this is a 3-wave structure. It does not mean that we could move down, okay? It doesn't mean that we could not get this significant leg down of a few $1,000s. Of course we can. It means that continuation to the downside after this movement down is unlikely, right? You take it as you wish, okay? But from yesterday's stream, as we were analyzing this structure over here, for me, it was, there's no way that we are going to be, moving down here in a 3-wave structure, another 3-wave structure, and for this to be an impulsive move, well, I have a problem. This was the main discussion of yesterday. Can we revisit the lows here and drop down a little bit? Absolutely, yes. Of course we can. But the fact that we were going to get a major wave 3 down, right? And then, just grind to the downside, which was the main topic of yesterday's video, was unlikely based on this movement to the downside that we were discussing, right? Because yeah, this was very choppy, very, very difficult to analyze. You know, I haven't had my best analysis throughout this range. You know, didn't manage to get into many good setups. You know, the only good long, successful long was in this zone. So overall, very, very choppy price action. Yesterday was a very clear long position, at least to the value area high of this range. Okay, so this, you know, there was a clear long position here. This was explained in detail why this long was quite obvious to get to the value area high. You know, that was the target zone. This was not an easy short, I have to say. You know, the shorting right over here, you know, not even taking out these highs, you know, it was not an easy short. But this brings the fact also that moving down from here, a kind of a V-shaped recovery is you know, very expected, in my opinion. You know, all of this breakdown is just a liquidity grab, and that is because of the structure that we were analyzing yesterday. You know, we didn't say that this was not possible. We just said that continuation to the downside aggressively, right, to get a major impulsive move down was unlikely, and the price at some point in the next coming days, you know, will probably come up to these highs, and we're not that far away. We're just a couple of $1,000 in getting above $106,000. So just because this is not the kind of structure that you want to see when you are getting an impulsive move to the downside to get continuation, right, headed down below 100K, 95K, and all of this. This is why this is a very, very trappy situation, especially with, you know, some people are saying that it's all because of Elon Musk and Donald Trump, right? Well, that's a trap, right? If you think that that is bearish news, it's a trap, okay? It's a trap. Some people were saying, you know, oh, this is bad, short the market. You know, you're probably late. This is very, very trappy kind of price action. And, you know, yesterday we were leaning on, you know, the drop down here. Not easy to, you know, no major longs to be taken. That's clear. We just need a little bit of information. And today we got a bit of information. Very, very steep V-shaped recovery. So it's not making it easy, but I will explain a few scenarios, right? The only long setup that, you know, would have been available here, for me anyway, as a day trade, small little swing trade, right? If you do think that a massive recovery is coming in the next coming days to claim 106, 107K, it would have been a swing failure pattern, right? That's the most aggressive one right over there. You got the big range and you sweep up the lows. This is, you know, only for the brave. If you're waiting for this massive collapse, you say, okay, it's a fair value gap, right? Fair value gap that you have right over here. And this is the level that needs to hold. If you don't hold this level, you get a reaction, maybe a stop loss at the low. If you want to take that shot, then you take it. But you don't want to have any, you know, you don't want to try and catch any longs here. Just like you don't want to catch any longs as you're falling down here, right? You don't want to be part of that game. So this obviously becomes a risky zone. You don't have any major support in between 100K and 97K. You want to stay away from the market longing in this zone. If you get a reaction from the overall range lows, absolutely. So this is the same as the lows that we do have all the way down here, right? So if the market were to come down to this zone in the next coming weeks, legends, right? Just say whatever the price does here, it doesn't matter. This becomes a good level for an SFP, right? The lows of the range. That low of this range where you have the fair value gap always becomes an option to get into a long if you get a reaction. If you sweep up that low where it's just stopping out people, right? It's a liquidity grab zone. This is literally what happened here, right? Throughout the last few hours. In this volatile movement that we've had in the last 24 hours, you know, this would have been the only option. You don't want to catch a falling knife here where you're just breaking down here the lows. You know, your best option is wait for the range lows to have a reaction, fair value gap. And, you know, that was your best shot. You know, jumping into a short on the breakdown, yeah, you can do that. You can jump in. You have a few minutes, in my opinion, here. Maybe about an hour or so to decide if you want to jump in here on a long. But yeah, trying to long here on the pump or trying to short this V-shaped recovery. I mean, we are hitting this resistance at the moment. It is the point of control, which is trying to break it literally. It's really trying to break it. So yeah, it's just a very steep V shape. When you have these volatile environments, I mainly most of the times want to stay away. I like these zones. I like these consolidations. I like clear impulsive moves and corrective moves, right? Fibonacci levels, bullish CVDs. Look for this leg up. This is the leg up that I got into, right? When it's this kind of volatility, the only attempt would have been this one right over here, to be honest, the swing failure pattern. But in this environment, because imagine those, there's going to be a lot of people that shorted the market here and eventually did not take profit, expected lower levels. And now, you have a problem, right? Now you have a problem because you must have seen this throughout social media, right? This is the most easiest screenshot that and to post anywhere. Head and shoulder, right? And the breakdown. But on yesterday's live stream, if you were paying attention, we said that a massive breakdown below 100K is unlikely. Yeah, we could drop a few $1,000s, but a massive move down, continuation, kind of a capitulation, was an unlikely scenario. And that was purely based on the price action that we started here of the drop. And it's a simple theory. It's a simple theory here. If you move down after a bounce like this one right over here, if you move down like this in a 5-wave structure and then you bounce, you can expect hell on this movement down. You can expect hell. You do not know how far this third wave can go. But if you have a 3-wave corrective structure, a 3-wave move up, overlapping all of this, right? Literally this. I know that this movement down is not going to have massive power to continue. Yes, it's going to be a breakdown of $3,000-$4,000 maybe, but you literally know that it's unlikely that you're going to get massive continuation, right? It's going to stop at some point and get a V-shaped recovery. And well, not a V shape, you're just going to recover at some point, right? You are going to recover at some point. So maybe you got a lot of misinformation throughout many people out there, especially with this kind of head and shoulder. I think some people are going to be talking about a head and shoulder right now as the neckline, right? Where this is literally the neckline right there. So, what you're looking at is something like this. We'll get to this scenario. It's something that I'm not really interested in. We're not taking a look at these patterns. Of course, you can take it into consideration as market exhaustion, but not really interested. So what are the scenarios? What are the levels right now? We are trying to break up here from a major level, okay, which is the point of control of this range. We're going to keep it simple. It is attempting to break out. Would I say that this is a successful breakout? I mean, possibly yes. We are above the level for the moment. Nasdaq is pumping like crazy throughout the last few hours. Very nice, very nice pump throughout today. Just today it is up from the lows, almost 2%. And I did see throughout social media, especially people that are in crypto or analyzing the market, a lot of people sharing the screenshots of this whole issue with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and it just sounds very trappy, right? Oh my goodness, it's not even a news or anything. It's just a fight that they're having, right? And you suddenly have a lot of people flipping very bearish on that news, and it's just a classic trap scenario. So anyway, we are getting this pretty significant bounce right after this drop. So now the question is, what are the scenarios that I am looking at? What are the levels that I do see important? and what could we be seeing throughout the next coming days. Of course, the weekend is coming up. I wouldn't expect much volatility throughout the weekend. So maybe we are going to be kind of ranging, right? We're back inside of the range, right? Regardless if it's this range or this entire range, right? Could we move down? You know, we're still very much in the area, no major breakdown. We're holding here the lows, liquidity grab. So it is likely that we're still going to be ranging, and we ain't going to get a breakdown to 90K or 85K, at least in the next coming days, right? It's just not going to happen. So what are the most important scenarios and levels, right, that we need to take into consideration if we want to, you know, this is just like getting this ready, guys, right? If the market were to drop, just take into consideration that 91,700, give or take, depending on the exchange, that's a good level to look for a swing failure pattern, right? This one right over here, the lows of this consolidation, that's a good low for a swing failure pattern. 83K, 91.8K. Always the lows of a range, of a large range, that could be a week or 2 weeks maybe. They're always good for a reaction bounce, regardless of if it's a fib level or anything. It's just a fair value gap, right? Just in simple terms. And obviously, if you have a basic understanding of Elliott wave theory, well, basic, a bit more advanced, of Elliott wave theory, just as mentioned yesterday on the stream, we understand that a huge collapse down, right? We're talking big, right? We're talking about a $10,000 move down is unlikely to happen. You know, it's low probability, right? Regardless if it happens later, you know, of course it could happen. But when you understand that, you need to really pay attention to the lows of this range, because that is the zone where you could SFP when I understand that this does not look impulsive, right? Based on this consolidation, as we were discussing on yesterday's stream. Not easy, you know, not easy. Of course, it's not easy. Nothing is easy, but that would, you know, when you understand that rolling down to lower levels is unlikely, you realize that you're probably going to bounce at the lows here, at the lows of this order block on the weekly, right? Or the monthly, right? I'm not sure, but overall, you know, you got a large consolidation. So anyway, let's do some local technical analysis. And what we like to understand, right, when there's a lot of noise, because this is noise, this was noise throughout last week, okay? Well, throughout, yeah, basically from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. A lot of noise here, guys, very overlappy. We were leaning more on the side that this does look corrective, right? This movement up. So it looked very corrective. I was leaning a bit more bearish throughout this movement to the upside, you know, and possibly claiming the lows at some point was likely, in my opinion. Okay, so just very noisy. We are coming from a local downtrend here throughout the last couple of weeks. You know, I was leaning a little bit. I like this idea more than actually this pumping up from here, right? Just didn't look sustainable, very corrective. And we ended up, you know, moving down throughout the last few days. So now what is important is understanding what scenarios could happen, right? And what are the most important levels to take into consideration? We are downtrending still, okay? So, you know, there's no major sign of this is the low and we are going to reverse from here. Is it possible? Yes. And the main reason why it's possible is because we are labeling this still more as a corrective structure, right? We are labeling all of this movement down as some kind of a correction, right? Regardless if it's a zigzag here, correction, and now we have another zigzag to the downside, you know, potentially we could be forming a zigzag here. Well, it's a zigzag right there, corrective structure. Could this still be part of a correction where you're going to be forming a flat? Is a flat here possible? Absolutely. Why is a flat possible here? Because we could label this as a three-wave structure, and all of this movement down is a three-waver. The movement down that we had since Tuesday is labeled more as a three-wave structure. And of course, inside an ABC flat, okay, your A wave, you want to label it as a three-waver, your B wave as a three-waver, and your C wave, that's, you know, mainly taking out the highs of your A wave, as a 5 waiver. So could we grind up here in the next coming days to take out 106,000, 107,000, right? Absolutely yes. This is something that would be very, very interesting. And this, without a doubt, would be the most important level, most important liquidity grab would be this one right over here, which could end up in a swing failure pattern. I mean, this is only higher time frame, guys. Of course, we'll be zooming in on the lower time frame to try and understand this structure. But if you want an easy trade that you want to wait for, well, yeah, claim the highs right over here, you know, and look for that swing failure pattern, right? Just like this low right over here, this low of that range. You know, there is that flat scenario here that could happen. Of course, it can break up above it. You want to be paying attention to some major levels of resistance. Fibonacci, you know, it could hit the golden pocket, and that could be the level of rejection. So I would be paying attention to the golden pocket here instead of the swing failure pattern, because you might wick above it, right? If it does get up there, guys, let's just imagine in the next coming days, for whatever reason, after a pullback or whatever happens, you know, getting above here and attempting to break the highs of last Tuesday, the golden pocket from the highs, all-time highs to the lows, without a doubt, would be a very, very good rejection point, okay? Instead of waiting for the swing failure pattern here, it could blast through from the highs, and the golden pocket could be the one that actually gets the rejection. So that would be your moment of decision. If it gets a reaction, give it a room for stop loss, and this could literally come back down, you know, very, very aggressively. Right, it's a bit more of a swing short scenario here. Okay, so that's interesting. You know, this is a very, very interesting level. Golden pocket from all-time high, sweeping up the highs of Tuesday above 106.8k, which is around about 107.7 or so, right? This is just, it's a higher time frame level as a swing trade, just like this could be a swing trade long position. You know, you're getting into a swing failure pattern of the range lows very, very quick. You need to have the level ready, right? And this is why the golden pocket, you know, you would have to have it ready. You would have to have the 107.5k level ready, right, for when the price pumps here. Because if you don't have this zone ready based on your analysis that you could have a ABC flat here, you've got lots of liquidity. It's a great zone of liquidity, right? Tuesday highs, how many stop losses and liquidations do you think there is above this high, right? And always when you claim a high, you get a kind of a reaction. It pumps, it gets a nice wick, okay? And, you know, if you don't have any proper plans ready and you know exactly where you want to enter or and get into trade, and this is more swing trading, guys, okay? We will zoom in on the lower time frame right now, but just a little bit of higher time frame, just because, you know, if you would have been ready at this level, well, this would have been a good long position, right? Especially understanding yesterday that a big major collapse, you know, of $10,000 is unlikely, right? We did drop down a few $1,000s. It did look very shaky. But today we got a really nice bounce of over $4,000, right? So, you know, you could have taken advantage of that long if you had this level ready. So this is just another level to get ready, right? We do have liquidity above there, right? It's pretty obvious that we do have liquidity above $107,000, right? 106, 107, right? There's quite a lot of liquidity up there. So you understand, right? After sweeping up some significant liquidity, just like we did in the last, you know, few hours early this morning, you're sweeping a lot of liquidity, claiming the lows, and now you're getting this bounce. Of course, there's lots of liquidity here, right? Above 106, 107. And you need to have technical reasons if you want to take a decision short position, right? So yeah, I'm just looking at this value area zone. Point of control is a bit high. It is quite high. I mean, it would be nice that this point of control was really aligned with the golden pocket, but it's not. But golden pocket on its own is already a very, very good level, okay? Already a very, very good level, especially after a major drop like this. If it were to rally to sweep up this high, you know, as mentioned, just because of the development of the structure that we had in the last few days, especially with this 3-wave move down, you know, it's you have a very, very high chance that this could get rejected here at the golden pocket. Okay, so that's 107.7k, right? You get above the high, it does create the effect of a breakout, right? It creates the effect of a breakout from the highs, and there's two major levels here where it could get rejected: the golden pocket from all-time high to the low, right? Because I mean, this would have been epic. You know, you would be happy if you catch the swing failure pattern from the lows of the range. So if the price were to come up here, give or take today or tomorrow, maybe next week, if it does get up there and it continues pumping a few $1,000s, this is a very, very good level for a rejection. And of course, if this does happen, you would be saying, oh, you know, I wish I would have gotten into the short. It was the golden pocket, right? I wish I would have got into the swing failure pattern from the lows of the range here, right? So it's just getting ready for that situation, right? So here you have a higher time frame level that, you know, you can get ready for, right? And, you know, and it's a good high probability scenario, just because you would be sweeping up that liquidity that you have from the Tuesday highs above 106k, 107. And you have the golden pocket, right, from the all-time high to the low, which is eventually a very well-respected level. And when you want to combine this confluence with Elliott wave theory, there is that potential of all of this being an ABC flat, okay? There is that potential of this being an ABC flat, okay? So as you add this confluence, okay, there's an Elliott wave scenario here, ABC flat. You got the golden pocket of the lows. You have the liquidity, right? You have the valley area low, which would be a classic moment of, you know, try to reclaim and get back inside of this range. So you understand that the golden pocket could be your rejection point, reaction zone, you know, manage risk accordingly, stop loss. This could really get that nice little drop after, you know, a few hours, even a few days, right, from that zone. So it's a level of interest. Now, there's another scenario, of course, the most bullish one. I'll get through the comment section right away. Just, this is higher time frame, guys, because maybe this is the low and this is very, very bullish, you know, and it's like, wow, you know, I missed out on a move of $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 just because I wasn't ready, right? I wasn't ready. But this is very difficult movements to catch, guys. I have to say, depending on your trading style, people might FOMO short here. People might FOMO long right now. This is really not a great environment, right? When you have the price action really in V-shaped movements, it's not the best environment, right? Especially when you want to try and jump in late, or, you know, short if you're really breaking certain levels. I mean, we were at the point of control here, I have to say. We were getting a reaction, but we just had New York open. And with New York open, you need to be a little bit cautious as well, because if stock market is pumping, it's going to help Bitcoin, right? Get that extra pump. So anyway, let me go through the comment section. This is just a higher time frame, easy confluence, easy trading plan to take as a, you know, swing position. It might take a few days to develop, but this, you know, this is just like getting ready this plan over here. If we come down to this low, it's a good long. If we come up to this area to sweep up this liquidity, golden pocket, liquidity grab, ABC flat possible structure, you're just adding and adding several scenarios and aligning it and saying, okay, this is possible, right? It is possible for that rejection at the golden pocket here to have that liquidity grab above the Tuesday highs, right? Which it makes sense. You know, that's the moment to take action. And if you don't have anything ready, well, eventually the price is breaking out the highs of Tuesday, right? Or it's super, super bullish. You might short early and it does that extra pump of $1,000, right? And it looks like strong and it's breaking out. This is a zone most commonly where it would reject. Golden pocket, the most respected Fibonacci level. And especially when you have other scenarios, you know, counting the waves, you realize that that is the sweet spot, right? This would be the sweet spot. So you would want to wait for that level to be hit, regardless if it's going to be today or next week. It might not even do that and it might roll down, right? But it's just something to have ready. something to have ready, right? Because this would be the movement of, oh my goodness, what's going on, right? Why is it pumping so much? Why is it V-shaping? I thought we were breaking a head and shoulder right over here, right? And it's not happening. You're getting all of those people that were shorting throughout the last 24 hours and shorting the little bouncers here, you know, getting absolutely squeezed out from the market. And until you don't squeeze all of them, you know, maybe even taking out the highs of Tuesday at 106.7, then you might reverse, right? And this is the you know, psychological point of it's bullish, you know, we're breaking trend or whatever, and it's just a main big liquidity grab, right? This is the moment you would want to take action on the reaction to take that short position, because this is the movement, you know, that could happen of a few $1,000s to the downside, right? So just to give a little bit of that kind of, you know, liquidity grab zones, you know, create that plan, right? Most importantly, and you know that this 107.5 to 107.9K zone is a very good zone for a rejection. Okay, you know, it's a very good area, right? Managing risk, you need to give a bit of room of stop loss here. It's more of a swing trade. It might take a few days to develop, right? You might drop, you might bounce, then you might drop again, right? Very choppy. You just need to understand that could be the scenario. It's a good level. Regardless if it's going to hold or not, it's a good level, right? So, you know, on the other scenario, the most bullish case scenario, which would be ripping out through that level, through the golden pocket after the liquidity grab. So it extends much higher and it does not get a reaction at that level. Your best level eventually, I mean, you're getting close to all-time high already here, is the point of control with a lower high that you have at 108.8K. This is your level 2. Anything outside those two levels, you do not want to be forming part of, right? So in this case, we'll just turn this white, right? If you are breaking out from the golden pocket, you do not want to be part of the situation. You want to be part of the situation once you reject from the golden pocket, right? Stop loss above the highs of the rejection, right? Give or take a bit of room. But if you break through, you don't want to be part of that short. And if it does continue to the upside, you have it's breaking my levels of interest for the short. It did not happen. We claimed liquidity from the highs. Golden pocket was broken. What's going on? What now? You don't want to FOMO into a long position as you're moving up. Where could we reject? Well, the most obvious level of rejection is this lower high right over here at 108.9K, right? It's an epic lower high with the point of control. You know, that would be your swing failure pattern level just because you have the point of control of this entire range. So anyway, just some higher time frame, you know, analysis to get ready. We'll zoom in on the lower time frames right now, guys, and I'll explain, you know, some intraday possible setups. But I will explain a few scenarios locally on what could happen throughout the next coming days, right? But these are just higher time frame levels that you want to just take into consideration for that possible swing trade, right? Because a lot of people, I'm sure, throughout the last few hours, throughout yesterday with the drop, have become very bearish based on a head and shoulder, right? I mean, I've seen this myself throughout social media. Very bearish retest right now. I'm not saying it's not possible. Of course it is possible. You know, we are chopping here at the point of control. I have other things in mind that I want to explain throughout the stream. But, you know, just imagine all of those people shorting down here that did not take profit. And if you would have had this plan ready in mind about longing, you know, this is your last line on the sand. If you lose this low successfully, you could get an extra drop of $3,000-$4,000, right? I'm not sure how much it is, but yeah, 100,700 to 97.96, right? This is where you start getting a bit of support. Fair value gap. This is dangerous zone. You don't want to be part of anything in this area. So this is like your last level. So and this is why somebody said in the comment section, you know, I wish I would have, you know, I missed the short, I missed the long. This is would have, you know, if you would have had the plan ready, then possibly you could have gotten into this short on the swing failure pattern of the lows of this range, right? Not easy. You need to have that plan ready. And this is why this would be a plan right over here, right? We'll zoom in on the lower time frame, but this is just a little bit for a chilled position, because whoever longed here could have taken some profits and now is protecting position. And, you know, that's it, right? Leave that long entry level based on the liquidity grab from these lows. So it's just something to take into consideration, because if the price does move up here, you know, people will flip bullish very, very quickly. You know, and without a doubt, we have a few scenarios that we could be ranging for the next coming weeks. Okay, we're not going to see all-time high just yet. Possibly, I mean, it might happen. Who knows? But overall, you want to have this zone ready, right? The golden pocket, because you do know it's a rejection point. It's a level where it could reject very aggressively. 107.6, 107.9. Just have it ready on the chart, right? Have it ready. Have it ready on your trading plan based on higher time frame, right? Because if we were to go up there in the next coming days, or I don't know, whenever it goes up there, and we do reject from it, right? We will come back to this stream and say, guys, you know, this was the level that we were ready for to take action, right? Based on the reaction, right? If you do get that reaction, you need to give a bit of room for your stop, okay? And if it were to blast through that level, the next major level, right? It's not a moment of really, you know, kind of FOMOing in or shorting a massive pump or joining in late, right? You know that you're starting to face a bit of resistance. You have this next level, which is the point of control of this range, okay? With a lower high, which is beautiful for a swing failure pattern as well. So these are just very good higher time frame levels. Let's go through the comment section. Say hello to the beautiful community. Very bearish. Ataraxia, much love to you, Mariela. Much love. I can see you here in the comment section. We're going to be zooming in on the lower time frame, okay, in the next coming minutes. But first of all, let's see how many likes we can get on the stream, okay, because I love you guys a lot. Okay, we got over 100 likes for the moment. That's pretty good in the first 20 minutes, 10 minutes of the stream. I don't know how long we've been here. I've got a few altcoins, guys. I'm not sure. I know altcoins, people are very skeptical with altcoins. I want to share my biggest holding, which is Chainlink analysis. Something that I've been discussing today with 𝗬𝗆𝘆𝗽. I jumped into a call with 𝗬𝗆𝗆𝗽, fantastic analyst and trader. We jump in the call now a few days a week, and we discuss different technical analysis that we can share here. And oh my goodness, I got two altcoins that, you know, Chainlink being my biggest holding, right? And you might think altcoins are a waste of time. It's an investment, right? Not as a trading, you know, futures trading perspective, but as an investment. We can take a look at them later on. And I just want to explain to you how good they look for the next coming months, okay? Regardless of the choppiness, regardless if you think that altcoin season is not going to happen, it's going to happen at some point, okay? The problem is the timing right now, the market conditions, you know, the Bitcoin dominance just flying up. It's not going to be the same. It's over. I get it. But it will happen at some point. If it's 3 months, 6 months, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen at some point. And you need to understand, based on technical analysis, which are the tokens that have a high probability to actually move up in the next coming months. All right. So you can be positioned already, right? Anyway, I just want to share that, guys. Okay. It's important because once the market goes up, we don't want to talk about altcoins, right? You know, we want to stay away from the FOMO. Anyway, let's go through the comment section. We'll be focusing on Bitcoin mainly, okay? And Bitcoin, very, very strong V-shaped recovery scenario. It's not, it's a little bit, it's kind of a little bit dangerous environment, in my opinion, for the moment to trade. I mean, for me, we were already leaning yesterday on this being a three-wave move to the downside and a three-wave move to the upside. And if this were to be, okay, a wave 3, well, eventually you want continuation, 4-5, 4-5, right? You want to see that grind to the downside which was not the case. You know, whoever joined the live stream yesterday said, yeah, I do see us dropping here. I wasn't expecting this low, I have to say. But ultimately, you know, not breaking down successfully. That was the main thing yesterday, right? I do see the lows being claimed, yes, absolutely. But I don't see us breaking down to much lower levels, okay? So anyway, we'll be talking about the different scenarios that we do have here on Bitcoin. First of all, I want to go through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm very bad with the comment section. I just really want to focus on the Bitcoin TA and possible scenarios and education. And I really am bad with not going through comment section and saying hello to the beautiful community. Mustaine, I was waiting for you, mate. Not just the way you trade shows real mastery, your strategy, your mindset, and your energy are next level. Truly inspiring. Mustaine, much love to you, my man. Okay, thank you very much for those kind words. Empire Trades, however, I get sniper entry from 100k BTC. However, I get sniper entry. Okay, I'm not sure. Here, Empire Trades. Tom Crown is in the comment section. The absolute legend himself, guys. If you don't know who Tom Crown is, you must know who he is because he's an absolute legend. He's got great educational content. He goes live also several times a week. He's an absolute legend. Shout out to you. What a spicy timeline. Here he is in the comment section. Tom Crown, guys. Let me just get his channel here. Shout out to him. I sometimes hop into his live stream, especially when he's doing the FOMC minutes or press conference. Okay, if you don't know who Tom Crown is, he's an absolute legend himself. I like to jump on his streams as well, a few times a month. I wouldn't say a week. Tom Crown, guys. If you don't know who he is, great educational content. He gives me lots of shouts out as well when I join his live stream. Go and check him out, legends. Okay, let's go continue through the comment section. Mariela, much love to you. Crypto Big Brains. Also, I need to check my moderators here because if I don't give them any love, they'll stop joining. 𝗬cie, Mariela. Sorry, legends, for the ads. Yeah, we're getting Roger Trimino. 𝗞𝗆 AI agent says hi. Very good, very good, very good. Devil, my man. Mattia also, the legend himself. Oh my guys, you're gonna got so many great guys here joining the live stream. CBM, an absolute legend. He's a master in shorting altcoins. I have to say, absolute legend. Go and check him out, guys. You also have Devil here, giving love and power. Let's go right away. Okay, not much here to discuss. I really want to jump into some altcoins more for the general view. But first of all, let's understand this structure on Bitcoin, right? And understand the probabilities that we are looking very corrective for the moment, guys. All of this movement to the downside is looking very corrective. The movement since we had to the downside yesterday still looks corrective. We were leaning on the 3-wave move down, 3-wave move up. And when we were trading in this zone, it was like, yeah, we could revisit the lows here, but I don't see a major collapse to much lower levels as an impulse, okay? So, yeah, we got a pretty nice, interesting move down of a few $1,000s, but look at this V shape, right? If you expect downtrend momentum in an impulse, you want to see the trend really aggressively continuing, right? And this is basically what we discussed yesterday, that a breakdown to continue to the downside was unlikely. And we were likely going to range, we were likely going to bounce or, you know, continue the range here. And we did bounce from, you know, the lows of this range, which was very, very interesting swing failure pattern that happened throughout late last night. So anyway, let's discuss right now. Okay, well, now what? Right? Now what then? Now what? Well, of course, we have many scenarios, many scenarios that could happen, of course. But we want to consider this momentum to the upside, which actually looks, I mean, it's very V-shapey. I mean, look at this. We got a V here. We did hit a little bit of resistance. We had stock market open. We are attempting to break through here. This could definitely fail to continue to the upside right now. I mean, it's been such a big rally with low volume. It has been a rally with low volume. We're getting a bit of volume kicking in here throughout the last 30 minutes. But wow, it's just straight move down, straight move up, right? Nothing is telling me that this could not continue to the upside, right? The only thing that was telling me that we could maybe get a rollover from here, maybe it could reject from this zone, is the point of control of the range, right? There was nothing more here that was telling me maybe it could get resistance here. Maybe it could roll over from here. But when the price is just grinding up, it just ended up breaking it out. Okay, it just ended up breaking out this point of control. It's still attempting to break out, right? The volume is not massive. So nothing is really telling me right now that this cannot continue to the upside. And it literally is a V-shaped recovery, full on, right? This was the first level that was telling me, okay, we could actually get some resistance. Okay, we don't have much things on the chart here, if I'm honest with you. It's the point of control. Let's take a look at anchored VWAP here from the highs. That's very high. Anchored VWAP from these highs right over here, also with that point of control. It was getting a small little reaction, but it's really it's kind of breaking through, right? There's no major reaction. Now, what is very interesting will be the movement down. If we do get a pullback, okay, we got this order block. We have to say it's still order block levels. Volume it's very choppy. It's not a major breakout, so it could struggle here. It could definitely struggle. It is struggling to move up. You got a pump retracement, a bit of an order block. It wouldn't be the best level that I would want to attempt a short right now above the point of control. Got a bit of an order block right there, which could be the zone. Let's take a look at Fibonacci from this pivot high to the pivot low. I mean, it is the golden pocket from this pivot. Golden pocket from this pivot was the point of control. But it's really just grinding and grinding and grinding. Very, very V-shapey. So yeah, it's not... it is the point of control from this pivot high to the pivot low. Bit of an order block right there. Low volume. I mean, this could be the moment where it does really struggle in the next hour. It does really struggle to get to higher levels and it starts getting a pullback. I mean, if it is going to do so, this should be the zone where it does, right? Get more reactions, but it's really just grinding to the upside, eh? It's just grinding. There's no major sideways consolidation where you can really say, okay, this is, topping out. It's really just steep grind to the upside. Just like this steep movement down. Of course, here we did have a swing failure pattern. Right over here, we are above the major level. Let's take a look at the fixed volume profile right over here. Yeah, you do have the point of control of this range. Which is just slightly at the golden pocket from this pivot high of Tuesday to the pivot low. Yeah. Let's take a look at CVD here. I mean, this is not the best zone that I like to get into a trade. I have to be honest. Not the best zone as we grinding up. Very, very volatile V-shape movement. It just looks like it wants to grind up. When we understand, especially throughout yesterday, that this is low probability that you are going to continue to the downside here, you have a three-wave structure at the moment right there. So what will be interesting is the movement down. And we love to explain all of these scenarios. The movement down that we have here, if we get it, right? If we do get that movement down, it will be looking very interesting for another leg to the upside, because ultimately you are looking for a 3-wave structure at a bare minimum. We always look for 3-wave structures or 5-wave structures, and we try and be in the 3rd wave here. Okay. Right now, we do not know exactly where this is going to reject. It's just really, we do have some resistance, but it's just really steep moving up. We've broken the point of control. So it's just really steeping up here and grinding. So nothing is telling me that, we cannot hit, the lower highs from yesterday. It's a pure V-shape recovery scenario. So if we were to get that rejection, as this is looking very one wavy, and this is not one wavy because this forms part of a 3-wave structure from the pivot high of this bounce, right? This is very one wavy. So yeah, it's the first initial dead cat bounce, V-shaped recovery. If it goes, it goes. But it would be interesting. I mean, unless you're FOMOing into the longs from lower here, you would very much be okay with it. But I think there's more shorts being entered in this zone and in this bounce. So where a lot of liquidity lies here, which is, it's really kind of a liquidation event that is happening at this moment with this V shape. So we like to, get into structures, these big volatile swings, they do become very complex to trade. I like the nice consolidations. Yesterday we were, just giving the education of this range, how it was very likely that this movement up was going to happen. And with this theory, I have to say that if we do correct down here, right, we get the rejection, right, we form a bit of a 3-wave move down. It's going to be interesting for the golden pocket, 50% golden pocket zone, maybe 7-8, to analyze very carefully. That's if we were to correct down eventually, because you are looking for another wave to the upside, right? And this would be the correction that I would be interested in, to analyze very carefully, to really say, okay, now is the moment that we get that 3rd leg to the upside. But with this V shape right now, I mean, this could really come all the way up to the highs. You're breaking point of control right now. So yeah, anyway, it would be interesting to get a corrective move. And, this was pointed out also throughout the last couple of days on a live stream, where we love to identify these scenarios. You got the aggressive double top, not an easy trade, not an easy decision. You need to get the rejection from the highs, stop loss at the highs. You start grinding down, perfect. You can take some profit, protect position. These are complex trades, right? You just need to take action on the rejection, stop loss above the high. But what we really like is to detect, that 5-wave move to the downside, that leading move. And I need to give a shout out here to 𝗬𝗆𝗍 based on this scenario where you had that 5-wave contracting diagonal right over here, and you got a 3-wave structure that was rejecting from a daily level. That is the moment that you're interested in, because you're interested in getting into this wave, claim the lows, start taking your profits, right? You're interested in that 3rd wave down. Same applied here. I got into a call with 𝗬𝗆𝗍 yesterday. We also applied this scenario with this being a very one wavy move up. And when we had this 3-wave move here, corrective structure, was discussing how incredibly likely after this movement that we had, that we were going to be forming a 3-wave move up here. And you're interested in this wave. You're interested in this wave. And I did provide a little bit of the education on yesterday's stream on identifying how it was highly likely after this move that you were actually going to get this 3-wave move up. Okay, a 3-waver. You were going to get a 3-waver, and target zone was the, it was pretty clear it was the strongest level of resistance, which was the value area high of this entire trading zone. So I'm just talking about this right now to really explain to you what would be the highest probability trading setup for me to identify, in this movement up. I've given if we just rally and rally and rally and rally, well, eventually the liquidity grab above the Tuesday highs with the golden pocket, that's a trading plan that I have ready. Liquidity grab from Tuesday highs. If we were to continue grinding up here, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? Massive V-shaped recovery. Explained at the beginning of the stream, you got a possible ABC flat scenario. You do have the golden pocket. You have the value area high of this entire trading zone. There's just a lot going on here at 107.5, 107.9. This would be your rejection point. That's the moment that you would be interested in taking action for a short. So you have a plan here, just in case the price grinds a few $1,000s. It just continues. Well, you know where the price has a high chance in rejecting, which is this level right over here. So, okay, what if we do not go up there and we do not, and we reject? I missed the short here. I would be more interested in a possible long setup if we do correct down here. Now, this is where it gets a little bit complex, but I would like to see this. I mean, my goodness. Not the greatest, I hate V-shape. I hate V-shapes, guys. I hate kind of V-shaped movements. I need ranges. I need ranges to study, then analyze the situation here to understand if there's a higher chance to get a movement, right? It was just crystal clear that there was a high chance. And I can explain that, guys, for anybody that hasn't joined yesterday's stream, how these are the sweet spots that you want to get into that trade for this movement. But here, I would really like to say that this could be an impulse. I hate this kind of price action. It's just very, very steep, very V-shapey. But I would want to say, okay, it does have a chance to be a very five-wavy move, on the lower time frame. It's just a consistent steep grind. Not too much volume. Volume is kicking in here at the highs. Yeah, not an easy one here. But what would be easier to identify if you are going to get that movement to the upside, as the probabilities decrease right now that this is a wave 3. I mean, we were already leaning that we were not going to form a wave 3 here on yesterday's stream based on this structure, and that we were going to bounce at some point. We're not going to break down to below $100,000. That was the main topic of yesterday. Yeah, we're rolling down, but I don't see a huge massive collapse like the ones that I know of, being in Bitcoin here for over 8 years now, of $10,000 or $15,000, $3,000-$4,000 drop. That's fine. That's nothing. So what would be here nice, as we identify that this is not impulsive and we're still forming a larger corrective structure, would be analyzing very carefully the possible movement down, right? Because if we channel down here, this is your moment to be interested. And the easiest trade scenario, instead of catching the lows, right? Because you might bounce at the 50% Fibonacci, you might bounce at the golden pocket, right? You might roll down aggressively. You don't know exactly where the price could bounce. I mean, you could, once you get some more information. You're looking at the one-to-one extension. You got the highs right over here. The golden pocket could be the one. But just to keep us in simple terms, and this was also like this long position that Devil provided the trend break here. you know, you would wait patiently. If you have your analysis, I was very much aware of this happening, this movement up from this consolidation with the analysis of this price action. This was mentioned in the Legends trading community. We were very much aware of this movement happening when we were ranging here. Well, you know, a breakout of trend is the, you know, in simple terms, you know, the easiest way to jump into a trade. I would like this if it does channel to the downside from wherever. If we do channel down here in the next 1 to 2 days, I would say that the break of trend would be your best shot here to get into this wave instead of trying to get into the lows, right? Because, you know, there is a chance of the price rolling down. There is bearish case scenarios, not impulsively, but there are bearish case scenarios such as WXYs or a contracting diagonal on the higher time frame, and we could claim the lows. This doesn't mean that the lows are in. So this is why, you know, I would really just look at this as a break of trend if you channel down here. Unless, you know, I'm live, or unless, you know, I'm in the Discord or with 𝗬𝗆𝘆𝗽 analyzing, you know, the intraday possible trading entry of this scenario. But this would be the easiest way, right? Wait for the trend break, because if you do channel here in a 3-wave structure, you know, you would be looking for that breakout potentially to claim the highs here already above 106k. So, you know, you just want to be waiting patiently. If you do form a channel-y move and a 3-wave structure down, you know, you head to the 50% golden pocket zone and you actually find support. Pay attention to that channel, to that trend line, because it might be your ticket to get into a long position. Right now, we have V-shaped recovery on the formation. Just big V-shape, guys. Which, you know, I'm kind of not surprised of a V shape. Why not? Why not? Obviously, you have this resistance, but we're just breaking out from the resistance, and it does look like we have a chance here to claim the lower highs already, maybe today, guys. Okay, it's just V-shaping. It's just V-shaping. I'm just talking about possible setups. I mean, if you want to ape into a long position, you know, shorting, you know, we were at resistance. There was a possible short entry, but you need to manage risk very, very well in this scenario. It's just really grinding up here to the upside. And just really not getting, it's just a steep uptrend. So you really want to see a little bit of more data, a little bit of more structure, form a little bit of a range. You know, this is the sweet spot area. This is where you do realize what are the higher probability movements. You know, I was talking to 𝗬𝗆𝘆𝗽 also today saying this was such an obvious trade, right? This was the most obvious trade short that there was in this range the last few days. And there was the other one as well here, which I can explain in detail if you want the education. This was also an obvious long trade to the value area high, or the previous day value area high, literally, which was 105.8k. And this was not an easy short. But these two, this short and this long, were very easy. And just because of the structure and the confluence, and you know, this is the beauty. Sometimes you just need to wait for these structures to be formed to have a high probability trade, right? Because if I get into a trade, I only just need, you know, 2-3 trades a month, good trades, to really make, you know, good money, right? Of course, it is different when you're trading with, you know, $50 or $100. But, you know, you want good trade, good quality trade setups. And, you know, right now, eventually with this bit of a V shape, we were hitting some resistance. I was very much aware of this resistance. It was getting choppy. New York Open, it's just grinding to the upside. You want to stay out right now, you know, eventually, of trying to short this. You know, we're very much massively uptrending throughout the last few hours. So, you know, you would argue discuss it's still uptrending, right? We're still V-shaping here. We don't have much resistance, We really don't have much resistance at all. We're back inside the value area. So it's just kind of not a range. You don't want to ape in either into longs, right? I mean, unless you're scalping and you're looking at the 1 minute time frame and you're just looking for basic order blocks, right? Lower time frame scalping. Yeah, unless you want to get into these little retracements on this massive uptrend, you just need to manage risk. Not too interested in these little scalps jumping into longs, if I'm honest with you right now. I'm leaning more into swing trading, guys. I did, you know, I was very much vocal on this throughout a few weeks ago. I sold a few Bitcoin. I've sold some Bitcoin in between, you know, this $100,000 range, and just more interested in having more swing positions. Okay, more swing type of trading positions, right? Where if I can short, you know, at some lower highs, or I can long at an SFP, I want to you know, take some profits, chilled, and be in a short and be in a long, and just kind of hedge and take profits from both positions, right? Just because, you know, you get a bit tired of day trading and scalping scenarios, okay? And you just want a more chilled way of trading. As you do increase your capital and you can afford to get into chilled ways of trading. For me, in simple terms, when we see this kind of V-shaped recovery, I mean, if you want to jump into a long here, obviously you're breaking this resistance at the moment. So there's not really much resistance that we do have in this area. You're back inside of the value level. So if you want to kind of ape in onto a little corrective move and just take profit at the local highs, and then that's your game here right now. As you're breaking here the resistance, right? Just get into a local pullback on the local time frame, right? To the 382.78 fib and look for a scalp long, right? From a local low to the local high, 50% golden pocket, look for the highs. If you're breaking resistance right now at the moment with this range, you did get that reaction at the point of control. But if you don't have much resistance here, you just want to kind of continue this insane uptrend. So if you want some, you just want to follow the momentum when you're breaking resistance. So your best shot is, get into the golden pocket, 50% to the 7.8 really from the last higher low, and take profit at the highs. Right? You're just grinding up. We don't have much resistance right now as we are breaking the point of control. So just kind of want to ape in here on scalp longs when you break the resistance, because literally we could be heading to the lower highs of yesterday. So whoever shorted or aped into shorts based on the head and shoulder here, man, this is such a bad idea to short here as a swing trade, right? I would be more interested in looking for a swing long position eventually, especially when you consider the fair value gaps, right? And an SFP from the lows. So eventually you want to be rather interested in a long position, especially when the main topic of yesterday was we are unlikely going to break down successfully, guys, based on the price action that we had here. It's an unlikely scenario that we continue a downtrend. It's unlikely that we get this here. Very, very unlikely. So any movement down is going to be a bit of a shakeout scenario. Of course, it was aggressive, and we did sweep up the lows here. Just understanding that we're likely going to continue the range, or we're going to continue correcting, but we ultimately not going to be aggressively moving down in a wave 3 capitulation kind of scenario. So you want to be ready with some longs, right? And this would have been the best epic long, right? Swing failure pattern. This is why I am getting you ready for some certain levels above 106.7K, because you're going to be bullish. Oh my goodness, this is bullish. You're going to hit this level and you're going to get an epic rejection. And you have something ready here, right? It's a trading plan. You can manage risk accordingly, get the reaction at the golden pocket. You are attempting to break, the value area low of this range. So you are attempting the value area low break. You're trying to get acceptance back above, but golden pocket, sweep of the highs, ABC flat in this larger consolidation. So you've got an ABC flat here scenario because you have an ABC zigzag right over here, and you're maybe going to be forming a complex WXY sideways, right? Corrective move. So you have all of the confluence here, and you have the liquidity grab. We know there's liquidity up there. So this is the moment of taking action. Oh my goodness, it's so bullish, so bullish, so bullish. You know, what should I do? I'm shorting too early. I'm longing too early, for example, here. You have the level. The level is there, and you wait until that level. If that level's not hit, well, it doesn't matter. You need to look for another plan. This is why I said, if we do not get to this level throughout the next coming days and we correct down, well, it's very difficult right now as we're breaking resistance to really think about a short, with this very, very V-shapey recovery momentum. So ideally, as explained, and this is, my only successful long from last week, which was on Sunday. And I did explain this in detail. This was explained also with the legends on last Sunday, was this corrective structure. You had a nice impulsive move up in a 5-wave, 3-wave structure. This was the long for me, right over here. 50% to the golden pocket zone. I'm happy to put stop loss here. I'm looking for a 3-wave move up. I was interested in being in this wave at some point. And yeah, you can get into the trend breakout. I mean, this was a very acceptable trend breakout, trade to get into. Not all trend lines are good to break, okay, to get into a breakout. There's lots of fake outs. Not all of them are good. This one was good only because, according to the Elliott wave theory scenario, you are likely going to have this wave up. And this is why I'm explaining to you that if we were to correct down here, okay, because we have formed a 3-wave move down since the highs of this range. It's a 3-wave move down. If we were from this low, which is a very one-wavy up, guys, it's very one-wavy. And in the market, there's only 2 scenarios. It's either a 3-wave move or a 5-wave move. It's not a one-way wave. It's not a 1 wave, or it's not a 7-wave or a 9-wave, right? It can be, obviously, depending on the time frames that you look at. But looking at the 1 hourly time frame, it's either 3 waves or it's either 5 waves. Of course, they can be choppy and there's a lot of noise. Just like this one right over here, right? I like to label this more as a 3-waver, but there's lots of waves in the middle. But you have 5 waves up, 3 waves down, 5 waves up here also. I mean, depending on how you're labeling this. So this is why we have 1 wave here to the upside for the moment. I mean, maybe it can go higher. I don't know. But if we do move in a corrective way and we form a little bit of a descending channel formation, this trend breakout is a good long setup, because I am looking for that 3-wave move. I'm interested in that 3-wave move to the upside, that 3rd wave. And of course, this is like labeling this, this from last Sunday. You got a 5-wave move, 3-wave move down. I am looking for another wave up here. I am looking based on this structure, and a lot of people would have a hard time here because they will see this. It's a downtrend. This is just a dead cat bounce, and we're going to go lower. It's downtrending, right? And this is why sometimes it becomes very difficult for people to, execute trades successfully and be consistent, right? Because you can jump into a trend, right? If you shorted yesterday here, that's okay, easy profits, right? You can long here throughout this bounce today and you'll be in profit. But it's all not, instead of aping in or not having a proper plan, and this is more for a day trade, swing trade perspective. It might take a couple of days for your trade to develop. This would be very hard for a lot of people. You're downtrending. Nobody wants to get into a long here on a higher low. And that's when you go on the lower time frame. This is why it's incredibly important to detect if you are moving up in a 5-wave structure here. And you did, actually. This was the main trade from Sunday that I shared here with the Telegram as well. And, you're looking for that 3-wave move up. You're looking for this wave. And just to point you out here, only if we move in a channely way, because there are some bearish scenarios, we only have from this low 1 wave up. Okay? From this high, because this is the high, this is the low, this is the high. From this high, we have a 3-wave move down. You have a low, you have a lower high, and you have a low. Right now, we only have 1 wave up. So the movement down, if it is going to channel, and it's not going to, we don't want V shapes or any of this nonsense, guys. This is dangerous environment. If it nukes down, I don't want to be part of. Andy said it was a 3-wave move. No, I need a channel. I need a structure, corrective kind of price action to the downside, where it's channeling down, where it looks wedgy. And this does become a good breakout trade once you have a 3-wave move to the downside, instead of trying to catch the lows, maybe at the golden pocket. So this, based on this structure, is a good long. And I would be targeting the highs here, the lower highs. It would be such a classic movement, because you will get a lot of people very bearish again once we move down here. And it would be the classic higher low, bang, and sweep up the highs and the liquidity. Okay, so this would be a high probability trade, and you're interested in high probability, and you need the channel, you need the 3-wave structure, and the break of the trend here would be your best option. So if you want to wait for that to happen, I'm not sure if it's going to happen. I'm just doing a little bit of drawing and making it a little bit easier, I hope, instead of really counting with the Fibonacci's and numbers and waves and sometimes a lot of people are like, I've had it with all of this nonsense. I'm going to keep it simple. If we correct down and we channel, a break of trend here would be a good option. Stop beneath the last higher low, and you are targeting these highs, at least this high at a major first movement. But I would really be targeting the lower highs, because there is liquidity and there is that overall structure that we're looking at here for a possible ABC flat. We might consolidate and form another wave up, but regardless, this is your target zone. This is a good option trade. And if it just V-shapes and it continues to the upside and it grinds up, of course, we've broken a bit of resistance right now. You're back inside of this range. It is hitting that, you're literally back in the range. So there's really nothing that's telling me that we could not hit those highs today. There's nothing on the chart. This is a 3-wave move, which is, leaned as a part of a correction. 3-wave move up here. We could be already forming that flat today. We could be really coming up to 107K. It's possible. This is the zone that I would be interested in taking a short. So really nothing inside of this range right now with these volatile swings. Personally not too interested with these massive swings. I'm not interested. I mean, I would be interested with this. Okay, because we created that plan. We have the golden pocket from the highs of the lows to the lows. I would be interested in a reaction golden pocket short position. Even though if it moves in a volatile way here and it gets a little stop, I would be interested in that short, regardless of how fast we get up there. I don't care. It's a classic liquidity grab level. I would take that shot with stop loss, give or take a bit of room at the highs, if we get that small little reaction here. But in this zone right now, not too interested. So for me, there's literally two options here for the next setup. And it's a matter of being patient, nothing else. If we come up very aggressively, I know this would be a liquidity grab. And we have a high chance in rejecting at some point. The most important level where we could get that rejection is the golden pocket of the highs of the lows. Could we SFP from the highs here at 106.8K? We could just sweep up the highs and reject from that level. It's also an option. I would prefer get a little bit of a steeper move up. Get to the golden pocket would be my best option. I would be a little bit patient to see if we do hit that golden pocket. And this would be the interesting zone, because a pullback here, an aggressive pullback that might take a couple of days, would be highly likely. When I'm looking at this zone, this would be my next interest zone for a short. And right now with this, V-shaped volatile zone back in the zone, not too interested. I would be interested in a long position if we channel out here. Okay, would be interested in the trend breakout to then get up to 106, 107K. So I need that channel formation. It would be looking like a diamond pattern, right? Or overall, would be looking like a diamond reversal. Let's see if we do get that kind of formation here in the next coming days. And let's go through the comment section. Smash up the like button. Let's go through the comment section right away. Take a look at some altcoins, see what the people are talking about. Remember, if you want to join, okay, the Discord, you also have the Telegram, okay, down below in the description, okay, legends. Join the free Telegram community. Join also the Discord if you want more education. You got the modules there, okay? Make sure to look at the link down below, which is the 5th link down below for the Discord. Could we take a look at, could we be in a cup in handle, says Randy Taylor. Cup in handle formation, is that on the higher time frame? Let's take a look at that. What are the probabilities of going lower 100K? We can take a look at the different scenarios. There are some multiple bearish cases, guys, okay? Multiple bearish case scenarios. Right now, we're V-shaping a little bit. But is there a chance? Still. Is there a chance? Yeah, the probabilities are lowering at the moment, at least for the moment, that we ain't going to see these lows anytime soon. Just because this is not impulsive. This movement down does not lean impulsive. So the chances of coming below 100K, I mean, is still there. It is definitely still there. I don't want to be talking about this because it's just low probability at the moment. But any type of diagonal that could be forming here is possible. But it's just a low probability pattern for the moment. But yeah, could we be forming some kind of a diagonal? This is your wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 is on the formation still, possibly. Your wave 4 is still not in. Wave 1, wave 2, this might be your wave 2 still, and it's just going to be a large, I would say, I mean, we ain't going to talk about this. This is just looking at the probability that could we go down to lower levels. And, diagonals are not really the preferred structures. If you want to map something, you would rather want to go with a complex correction that has higher probability. And complex correction right now has higher probability. Where you're looking at this as a zigzag, this is a correction, complex correction right there. So you got a zigzag possibly in W. You got your X. This would be too fast to be your Y. A Y wave here in a double zigzag. You're already coming too far up here, so you're probably going to go more sideways. A flat scenario here is possible, where you claim up the highs and then you form maybe a triangle here, or you form a flat here in the middle. It seems like it's going to be very rangy, guys. It's going to be very, very rangy for the next coming days and weeks. Claim highs, claim lows. There is the potential of this being a finished corrective structure. I don't think it's the case. And we head up in a WXYXZ. There is, because all of the movements down, okay, they do look more corrective. Very three wavy movements everywhere. So it's just very, very corrective three wavy price action. So it's either range continuation here, or it's breakout. And obviously the bearish case scenario would be looking at some kind of a diagonal here, which would be a wave 1, wave 2. You know, maybe wave 3 is still forming, wave 4 and 5. But you prefer looking at, you know, sideways complex corrections, which there are many, many scenarios. And, you know, for the moment, right now, with this bounce, you know, there is a high chance that we do claim 106.7K, which is the highs from Tuesday. So whoever shorted, you know, at lower levels, didn't manage risk, you know, was paying attention to this pattern, you know, you eventually don't want to short on the drop here and not manage risk. Okay, you can short wherever you want. If you're managing risk, you get stopped out, that's fine. But I know lots of people here, this is wrecked city. So longs getting wrecked and now shorts getting wrecked. This kind of volatility, you really want to stay away, guys. I cannot stress this enough. Unless you have a trading plan. I have a trading plan up here. Golden pocket from the movement down. Yeah, it's a good level. You know, this could be an ABC flat formation. And it's very common in your C wave to be very fast, very, very fast and ferocious. You know, it's very, very common to see the C wave in a flat to be much faster than your A wave or your B wave. Flats, your C wave is fast and ferocious. It's a movement that gets people wrecked. So this is why sweeping up this high is when I will start being interested in looking at the short. And my best level is the golden pocket from the highs of the low and to the lows. You know, there's no more to it, right? You know, this is where I would manage risk here. Reaction, stop loss, give or take a bit of room. You know, don't go all in. You're just looking for a pullback. You want to make some money. You don't want to bet the farm here. It might cross through. If it does cross through very aggressively, I want to take a little bit of a reaction here. But I'm looking for this. I'm actually looking for a pretty nice steep move down. This would probably take a couple of days. But this is the zone. Right now here with this V shape, at the moment, breaking the point of control of this area. So. Okay, so yeah, what we thought, you know, it does look like that we can be getting up here to 107K, guys, 106.7 at least. And C waves in a flat, they are very ferocious. They're very aggressive, very ferocious. We got above the point of control. You know, we have a zigzag here, flat, and we just could be ranging for the next coming days and weeks. So yeah. The swing trade setups, golden pocket could be interesting for a rejection. If we channel here, you know, in simple terms, just so we don't go too complex on edit wave theory, this movement up is very one wavy. If we get a rejection at some point and we channel, the break of trend here is what you would be looking at, because at the end of the day, we're looking for at least a three waver, three wave down, right? Three wave down. You're at least looking for a three waver, regardless if it's going to be more waves or not, right? If it's going to be a five waver, I don't know. But from the lows of yesterday or this morning, it's very one wavy still. So if you do get a correction, you're looking for another wave. You are looking for another wave. If it moves in a volatile move down, you don't want to be part of it. Just don't be part of this unless you're in the right train. You know, you don't want to be part of this, the volatility. LFG Andy, 𝗖𝗆𝘆𝗽𝗍 is here, guys. Shout out to 𝗖𝗆𝘆𝗽𝗍. I like to jump on his stream. He's got an epic community, epic, epic streams. Also, he really likes to look for intraday scalping scenarios. I'm leaning more into day trade, swing trades. I've had it with scalping and day trading. I want to be more of a chilled guy. I've already lost quite a lot of hair with scalping and day trading. Want to be more chilled, look at bigger levels, because I really want to transition more into swing trading setup. Still holding a short from higher, okay. Happy to hold. Did take some profits on this already, and obviously, want to be more chilled on bigger swings here. Anyway, let's go through the comment section. Shout out to you, 𝗖𝗆𝘆𝗽𝗍, the legend himself. Let me just get his channel here, guys. If you don't know who he is, shout out to him right away. He's got an epic community. He does look for, intraday scalping. He does use a lot of VWAP. Intraday scenarios. 61878 Fibonacci retracement also with the VWAP. 𝗖𝗆𝘆𝗽𝗍. Let me get his channel here. So, give him a shout out. He does give me a shout out. He's a great guy. Absolutely awesome, guys. If you don't know who he is, make sure to go and check him out. This handsome dude right over here, 𝗖𝗆𝘆𝗽𝗍. Very, very nice, humble guy. Great community, great energy. Shout out to you, brother. We also got 𝗬𝗍𝘆𝗽 in the comment section. Shout out to 𝗬𝗍𝘆. I know most of you know who 𝗬𝗍𝘆 is. Ataraxia, Mariela, much love to you. We needed some music here. Do we have the music? Music is gone. Oh, that wasn't it. All right, legends. Following 𝗖𝗆𝘆𝗽𝗍. There we go. And here he is, the absolute legend. Absolutely great. 𝗬𝗍𝘆. Me and 𝗬𝗍𝘆 like to get into calls, a lot of the times now. At least this week, we did get into a couple of calls. Just analyzing the structure. If you want, let me know in the comment section. If you do want, let me know, because I do have a couple of altcoins, but I'm not sure if people are going to be interested on the altcoin analysis. Let's be honest here. Let's see how many likes we got, guys. Let's see if we can get to 300 likes. People are getting bored. I'm going to go through comment section. I've explained a little bit of the easiest scenarios on Bitcoin. These are ferocious movements, volatility, right? We are breaking some resistance. If we do channel out here, it's your best option to jump into a long as a day trade, okay? To sweep up those lower highs. You'll be forming a little bit of a diamond pattern, guys, also, right? Reversal pattern if we do channel out here. So that will be interesting to check the movements down, okay? To jump into that long diamond pattern, legends, and claim the highs. That will be an interesting structure that could develop throughout the next couple of days, especially on the weekend. Jackie Wood, I got my mother here, always giving love and support as always. Let's go. Let's see if we can get that like button, guys, to 300, and then I'll go through the comment section, okay? I got 2 altcoins that I want to talk about. Maybe you don't care. Or maybe we focus on comment section, see what the people are saying. Give me your analysis in the comment section. We can take a look at Bitcoin, what you're looking at, okay? And we can discuss it right away here. I've discussed a little bit of my local plan on more of a swing trade mentality, guys. I'm getting old, okay? I'm getting old and I want more kind of swing trade setups, okay? And this was actually a pretty epic swing long position on a swing failure pattern here. Fair value gap. Order block, sweep up the lows, especially when you combine Elliott wave theory, as yesterday we mentioned. Low probability that we get continuation breakdown here, guys, very aggressively. It was an aggressive move of a few $1,000s, let's be honest. But the fact that we were going to continue down aggressively was low probability. So if you had this plan ready, you could have got into an epic swing short position. So this is why in this stream, I mentioned the best level here of rejection, which is this one, considering the ABC flat. It's a scenario that could happen. And if we do get up there and we reject down and we get back to the stream tomorrow or after tomorrow, we'll be saying, guys, we were ready for this, right? We were ready. So it's all about planning the trade and getting a scenario ready and managing risk. And tomorrow's another day. If you'd missed out a trade today, there's a trade tomorrow, guys, maybe. Okay, so that's the mentality that we need to have. Let's go through the comment section. And if we get to 300 likes, I'll be back. 300 likes, legend, and it's comment section time. Vamos, vamos, vamos. Sí, sí. Let's go. That like button sucks, guys. Anyway, let's go. I'm not the 𝗬𝗆𝘆𝗽. I just like power. Tools. 𝗬𝗆𝗆𝗽 is the best. 𝗬𝗆𝗆𝗽 is the best. I would say he's better than me. I would say so. Yeah, I would be confident in saying that. He's taken over. Appreciate all the love, legends. Much love to you, 𝗬𝗆𝗆𝗽. Ataraxia, join the community on Telegram right away. Maybe trap pump, we'll see. Maybe a trap pump, we'll see. Yeah, well, it's a trap dump. It's a trap pump. It's a liquidity game at the end of the day. And eventually, when you have, you know, all of these lows right over here, then you realize that it's a liquidity game, guys. And what does the price like to do? Sweep up liquidity. And where do we have our liquidity right now from all of the head and shoulder breakout traders? You know, they are really expecting the price to go to lower levels. And I've been shorting here as a swing short and not managing risk. Well, they're up here, guys. That is the zone. And it's, you know, at the end of the day is a liquidity game. And with Elliott wave theory, there is a very nice scenario here. Very, very nice scenario, which is that ABC flat. Very, very nice scenario. Especially now, which we're pumping so much. Yeah, there's no way that you can count here. You know, what is this lower high going to be right now, right? After this structure. It's like, you know, you ain't got a bearish proper structure here. We didn't have it yesterday anyway, right? We didn't have it yesterday. I was very much aware that, yeah, we could come down and test these lows, but I don't expect continuation down. So not even now, guys. This is a range formation corrective structure. You know, what can we say? You know, there's no bearish momentum from this three wave down that we had in the last couple of days. It's just so right now there is extreme high probability that we are going to take out these highs already. I don't know, today, tomorrow. We might reject throughout the weekend at some point just because, but we are extremely increasing probabilities that these highs are going to be taken at some point. And we need a moment of silence right now for the people that got into a trade on the breakdown and that was expecting 97K or lower levels based on the swing traders. And we were very much aware that, you know, this breakdown was not going to get big high continuation to the downside. So 𝗬𝗆𝗆𝗽 is live today. I'm sure 𝗬𝗆𝗆𝗽 will be going live today. I'm very, very sure of that. Okay, that he will be maybe a trap pump, Empire Trades. There is a combination of high volume on drops and low volume on rallies. Very true. Very, very true. But a fun fact is the only bearish case scenario, like, there would be a chance for this to be a 1-2 and this to be a 1 ABC flat 2 and then 3. Yes, there is. However, this wave 1 and 2 is extremely longer than your higher time frame wave 1 and 2, right? So you really want to see your second wave 1 and 2 or third wave 1 and 2 going smaller, right? You want to see it decreasing compared to your higher time frame one, right? So not the best scenario. This is one scenario which I think is unlikely. And then there's the possible, some kind of a contracting diagonal or expanding, but you don't want to talk about those scenarios. You prefer looking at all of this as some kind of a correction, even though it's going to take out the lows later on. It doesn't matter. It's very corrective kind of price action, just like the price action that we had right over here. That was very, very corrective throughout January to April, right? All of this looked extremely corrective. All of this, there was lots of overlap. This could have been the chance for a wave 3, but we got an epic bounce. You don't want to see, a bearish structure with such an epic bounce like this, overlapping all of these pivots. There was all of this just looked extremely corrective. So the chances here of rallying was there, and we're having something similar. A lot of overlap, a lot of choppiness. This is not a leading move to the downside. For the moment, it's not looking like a leading move. I mean, that double 1-2 scenario is definitely a possibility, but it doesn't look highly likely because you're already increasing your price action here in your second wave 1 and 2. It's taking longer, it's more aggressive, and you don't want to consider that. You want to consider it, but you wouldn't give it high probability. So regardless if you do go to lower levels, it's likely going to be some kind of a corrective structure. Especially with the latest move down that we were discussing yesterday. This was the green light of we ain't going to break down aggressively. We did move down aggressively, but this for me was not it wasn't a capitulation, right? It did move down to sweep up the lows, but a couple of $1,000 and got a bounce today. But we were very much aware of that scenario on the stream yesterday, understanding this structure. So yeah, that's the situation. I think all-time highs will happen again, guys, this year, right? Whoever thinks that this is a double top, like 2021. That is the discussion right now. That is this a double top like in 2021, guys? I think Bitcoin could be the catalyst, right? Of we know the inflation. People are very much aware. People don't know what assets they want to hold. Real estate, could that be in danger? Obviously, it's been the most solid one, right, for the last many decades. Gold is good. Bitcoin is the new, right? In a digital world, is the new hard asset, right? So yeah, with institutions piling in and really the financial system crumbling, you might think, well, if the stock market crashes and we enter a recession, everything's going to collapse, right? It usually does, but I would see it as a correction. Bitcoin ultimately will recover right after the crashes and corrections. And a lot of eyes on this right now. Are we really following the 2021 bull market with this double top? And for the moment, with what we have locally on the price action, it's more likely that any movements down are going to be corrective with the information that we have, and that will likely form a higher low at some stage and look to hit new all-time highs in the next coming weeks or months, right? It's just how it looks with the information that we have. Sing Games, much love to you. Legends, thank you for smashing up the like button. We got almost 300 likes. You guys are epic. Okay. I think I will save some altcoins. No one can challenge this amazing BTC. Nice. This is up level. Empire Trades, much love to you, my man. Thank you very much for those kind words. I think August or July price will blast that time. Yeah, very possible. Maybe. I think people are expecting the summer to be choppy and the summer to be rangy or, you know, maybe bearish. But yeah, why not? There was a very bullish summer. I think back in, I'm not going to scroll down. It'll scroll out now. It doesn't matter. But we have had bullish summers in the past with Bitcoin. Thanks very much, Wes. Much love to you. Nicely said. Sirinivasnas. Limited supply, enough said, says 𝗬𝗍𝘆𝗽. Yeah, it's you know, you need to have some Bitcoin in the portfolio. We want to trade Bitcoin as well. Shorts, longs, it doesn't matter. You know, I've been shorting as well. Still in a short, but you want to have some Bitcoin eventually as an investment, right? Bit of gold, bit of Bitcoin, have some cash, have some real estate, right? If you can, you know, have a nice diversified portfolio for whatever could come, guys. So you are protected, right? Thank you very much for the TA. Thank you very much, guys. Remember that you do have those exclusive bonuses, all right? With the links down below. You got the first and second link. You got bluffing, okay? With a 20% deposit bonus right now. You do have weeks with up to $30,000 and a 25% fee reduction on your trades. And you only need an email and a password to sign up. Make sure to join the free Telegram community because we are building up something very special, guys, which is in development at the moment, okay? Thank you very much to everybody, and I will see you in the next one.